All right guys, so for this video today, I'm gonna do a step-by-step how to get an e-tune done by Nabil. Most of this information is gonna be able to get utilized across all tuners, so let's hop into it. If you guys are new here, my name is Alex, and I've got a 2008 Acura TSX that I've boosted, blown up several motors, but we're still strong and pushing forward, so welcome to the channel. All right, so Mohammed Nabil has a Facebook page. It is Nabil Tuned, and I will drop that here in a sec. You guys can find him on Facebook, message him on Messenger. He's a great tuner. A lot of people have tuned with him. It's really convenient and easy. All right, so there's several different ways of getting a tune done to your car. Obviously, the most popular one is taking your car to a dyno, and you have a tuner physically present. They'll be sitting in your seat, and they'll do the tune for you. Also, you can do street tunes where you have a guy in your car and you guys are doing the speed limit on the streets, tuning your car. Or I've heard of people sending in files. They'll do some data logging. They'll send some files to a tuner. The tuner will tweak those files and then send them back. With Nabil, what he does is remote tuning. So he has access to your laptop from across the country. Well, I guess depends where you live. And he does all the tuning remotely. We are gonna need a laptop and you're gonna need your tuner. I'm using a Honda Flash Pro, whether or not you're on K-Pro or something else, but you're gonna need your tuner, ECU, your access port, whatever, that can plug into a laptop. You have a good laptop, preferably not a slow one, and preferably one that has space. You don't want to have like 2 megabytes of space left over. All right, so make sure your laptop is fully charged, and obviously you need to have the correct program installed on your laptop. For me, it's Honda Flash Pro Manager, and with this thing, there's always new updates coming out, so make sure you get this thing updated. So also you will need a hotspot, and you just run that off of your cell phone. Enable your hotspot, that way you can have internet on your laptop, and you need to download and install TeamViewer on your laptop. And once you're ready to tune, you'll be talking with Nabil on Messenger. You will send him the code. He'll be able to connect to your laptop through TeamViewer, and he will get access to your laptop, and then you guys can start tuning. And you'll probably communicate on your cell phone back and forth through Messenger. He'll let you know what needs to be done. So it's pretty easy and convenient. So depending on why you're tuning, maybe you have a freshly built motor, just like I do. Different size injectors. It's boosted now, so you need a completely new tune, or you're just trying to get a tune-up, or some people are trying to get better fuel mileage. Regardless of what you're doing, make sure to check all your fluids. So check your oil, make sure that is full. Check your coolant, make sure that is full. Your tranny. So run your car, make sure you have no leaks. If you've got a brand new motor, get the initial startup and the first oil change out of the way if you can. If you're not sure whether or not you can start your car on a base map, go ahead and talk to the tuner. They are more than happy to help you out. Ask as much questions as you can, because it's a little lame when you're ready to tune and your tuner's ready for you and you've got to be doing all these things. Once you go to try to fire up your car, oh, I need more oil, yada, 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 all that crap. So if you can get your initial startup in where you can bleed your coolant, make sure your oil level is good, do your first oil change, flush all that crap out, let it run, warm up for a second, and verify that you have no leaks. Another thing to check is your fuel system. Make sure you have no leaks. That's kind of a big one. If you can't get your car fired up, the least you can do is turn your ignition on. It'll kick on your fuel pump, and just basically check all the fittings, check around all injectors, make sure you have no fuel puddling anywhere, leaking out. That'll save you a lot of trouble. So do your research. we have Google. It is an amazing tool, amazing search engine, and it kind of baffles me how much people don't use it. So if you're shooting for like 500 horsepower and you've got all this, you slapped on your turbo, you go to tune, and then bam, your injectors are too small or your fuel pump's not big enough and you're running out of fuel. That's happened to me before. That's happened to a lot of people. I talk to quite a bit of tuners, and these are certain things that they kind of get agitated by because it's a waste of time. These guys are out here to get you a tune. All of them are more than happy to help, but you got to understand they got to get somewhat compensated if they're out there for 5 hours trying to diagnose a problem for you. They're not mechanics, they're tuners. So do your research, figure out what size injectors you need, what size fuel pump you need. So essentially you're doing a pre-trip, you know. Turbo is not bent, broken, or cracked in operating condition. If you've ever taken a CDL, you know what I mean. Anyways, we've checked all our fluids. All the fluids are good. No leaky fuel. Another thing I forgot to mention is make sure you get your fuel pressure set to the correct pressure. And again, ask your tuner. Same thing, you could ask him about the injectors and spark plugs. Spark plugs is a big one, and I've definitely ran the wrong crusty spark plugs before, and Nabil actually got mad at me. So I don't blame him. He's a good tuner. I've got the correct ones in there now. I've got them gapped correctly. So make sure to reach out to your tuner and ask him what spark plugs you need, what gap you should be running, and or Google that online. There's forums. We got Facebook groups, all that good stuff. All right, so another thing to watch out for, and this might not apply to everyone, but with Honda Flash Pro, unfortunately, anytime you need to upload a tune, you have to shut the car down, turn the ignition on, and let the tune upload. So make sure your battery is fully charged. That way when you're doing that several times, your car doesn't die on you. All right, so the next thing we're going to get into is going to be your wideband. If you are doing a remote tune, you are going to have either your primary oxygen sensor still hooked up or your aftermarket one hooked up to your ECU to where it is actually reading through the laptop. If you're doing a tune with someone physically present there, you can just have your wideband hooked up just to your exhaust, not going to your ECU. I've done that before. Something to do with a closer and open loop. I'm not a tuner, but I know that's a thing. But with a remote tune, obviously he's not sitting in your car and he's not looking at your AFRs. So he needs to see them on his laptop. So make sure you have your primary, but preferably an aftermarket wideband plugged into your ECU. So as well with your wideband, make sure you have no exhaust leaks before your sensor. If you have any sort of exhaust leaks, you're prone to sucking in some outside air and you will be getting the wrong readings. So make sure to go through and verify that you've got no exhaust leaks. So alongside exhaust leaks, you'd also be pretty well off checking for any vacuum leaks. So again, you'll need your car running for this, and there are several ways to check for vacuum leaks. You can YouTube all that, but go through and make sure you have no vacuum leaks and no exhaust leaks. Another couple things you can check would be your tire pressure. Not a super big one, but let's say you have 20 psi on one side and then 45, 50 on the other. That's going to kind of throw stuff off. So that's kind of a basic thing to check, but never hurts. All right, so once you've checked all of those things, and again, these are all precautionary things to make it easier on your tuner and yourself. You're not wasting somebody else's time. Getting all that stuff prepped. And again, most tuners are pretty nice and they are more than happy to help. So they're not going to get pissed off at you just because you're having some sort of issues, and they're there to help you solve them. But it saves a lot of headache and a lot of time if you can just get as much of those things taken care of and getting out of the way to where your car runs good enough for a tune. So I know there is kind of a stigma about, I guess, having remote tuners tune your car. So typically if a person is really knowledgeable in cars, having them in person probably is better. They're the ones that get a feel for your car, hear it, listen to it. They're there. They've got that extra stuff that they can do compared to a remote tune. But as far as Nabil, I've been super happy with him. I've blown up my motor leaving a dyno, and that was somebody physically there present watching. Whatever, maybe it wasn't their fault, but I have not had bad luck with Nabil. So he tuned my car, and I told him to push way too much power on my stock block, and we cracked my sleeves. That's not his fault at all. I think I was at like 25, 26 PSI. So this bad boy was up in the 600s would be my guess. But we've got a sleeve block now, and currently I am doing just a break-in tune. I already did my initial startup, all that. The car does run right now. We just need to tweak with the fueling a little bit, as occasionally it will die idle. But I'm going to be breaking in my car on 1,000cc injectors, do the good 500 miles, get that all broken in, and then we are going to be switching injectors and trying to get this thing set up on a fuel setup, or a flex fuel setup, sorry. So hopefully we end up back at around 25 PSI. If I can get this thing around 700 horsepower, I'd be pretty happy with it. Then we can start really breaking stuff, the transmission, all those goodies, and then we can get into buying the all-wheel drive transmission for this thing, the all-wheel drive swap. So yeah, pretty excited for it. Again, this is kind of my hobby. I'm not working on this car all the time, just whenever I have time. So pretty excited. So it's been a minute. All right, well, I'll try to get some footage of tuning, but I'm going to be by myself solo, so it's going to be a little bit hard to record, but I'll see what I can get you guys.
It's making some weird sounds. Hey, brother.
All right, so we've got TeamViewer on right now, and I sent him the ID and password, and he will be getting into my computer here shortly. Alrighty, well, he is on the laptop now, going through all of that, and we will fire up the car here shortly and go for a drive. So one thing I wanted to go over real quick while Nabil is uploading a tune is the convenience of doing a remote tune. I can just walk out to my shop, set up a time, hop into my car, and he can start tuning my car. Whereas, you know, the closest dyno for me is about an hour out. So trying to get that all scheduled and drive out there, that takes a pretty big chunk out of your day. I have had two other tuners, Trevor and Dave, also come over and tune it, and they were awesome. Really good tuners as well. Trevor got busy doing stuff, which is all right, that's fine. So he ended up having Dave come and give me a hand. I got to start my car. So both really awesome tuners. Dave's schedule just didn't quite work with mine. I've had him come over and tune it about 3 times when we were doing the break-in. It just didn't work out, and it is what it is. He was a great tuner, but the convenience going with Nabil was awesome. I don't know if you guys can hear that as loud. So adjusting the fuels. Car was just idling really rough. Now it's idling high. Doing all his wizard stuff on the laptop. I got the Hondata app, dude, and I kind of like this thing. It's pretty killer. I got it on the iPad, and I just stuck it on here with some magnets. Yeah, it might not look the fanciest, but at some point we're probably going to do the Android radio here. But more power first, you know what I mean? So I've got both my AEM wideband plugged into the ECU, as well as my factory wideband, or factory O2 sensor. So they're both reading. Man, it's been months since I drove this thing. I just about forgot how to drive a manual. like I said, when you pull over, you gotta shut your key off, turn it back on, just your ignition, and you can get a tune-up loaded. So with the sleeve block, it does like to get a little warm. All right, boys. Well, you got the break-in tune done. Car's running pretty darn smooth right now. So, gonna head home and get this thing parked, and we're good to start driving around. I'm probably gonna hit a good 500 miles on this thing before the initial tune. So, I'm not gonna take it super easy on the motor. Obviously, we're not hitting crazy. We're not hitting boost. A lot of engine braking right off the bat, and I've already driven the car for quite a bit actually, because I've had him tune it on the 1650s earlier, but with pump gas it didn't like him, and he didn't want to run it very rich. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and break this thing in, but that's essentially a e-tune or a remote tune from Nabil. Super easy, super simple. Communicated with him on my cell phone the entire time, and yeah, so really easy and simple. All right, guys, so essentially that is it. I just got back to the shop. The tune is complete. He was able to get this thing running good. We set the rev limiter to 5K, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing broken in. I'd imagine probably a couple weeks I should be at my 500 miles, and then we can go ahead and do the initial tune with boost. So pretty excited for that. But yeah, thanks for checking this video out. Hopefully this information helps you guys, those of you who are new and trying to get you guys' car tuned. 100% recommend this guy. He's awesome. So go check him out.